Jesse, it doesn't get any easier, or maybe it does. I don't know, because the Diamondbacks right now have won 7 series in a row. Meanwhile, they prepare to do battle with the Philadelphia Phillies, who may have, after tonight's game with the Dodgers, have lost 7 series in a row. It has been a very rough stretch for the Phillies since the All-Star break, and you'll love to see it.
Yeah, the Phillies are still a very good baseball team. This isn't they've certainly had a couple of injuries that have popped up. Right now they're without Ranger Suarez, which obviously he was having an outstanding season, but this isn't a rough stretch that you're like, oh, maybe the Phillies aren't good, or maybe the Phillies aren't nearly as good as we thought they were. The Phillies are still a very, very good baseball team, and the Diamondbacks will have their hands full this weekend as they come home, and pretty quick turnaround. They're probably just getting on the plane right now to leave Cleveland, and they've got a game against the Philadelphia Phillies back here in Arizona tomorrow. If we look at the Phillies, some of their stats for the season, they have been very good at a lot of different things. Again, they're just 3-7 in their last 10 games, but they're 67-46 on the season, a 3.37 ERA for their starting rotation, a 4.02 ERA for their bullpen, which I think is a little misleading. They just made a couple of upgrades in that regard at the trade deadline. A 747 team OPS, which ranks 7th in all of baseball. And then they are also 7th in baseball and outs above average at 16. So, Derek, this is a team that does pretty much everything pretty dang well. And it's going to be a fun weekend. Of course, the Phillies making their first trip back to Arizona since the NLCS. Pretty crazy.
It's Petty Ring Night, Jesse.
It is.
I can't wait for Petty Ring Night on Saturday. Yeah, we changed our schedule around a little bit due to the weather delay, and now we will be bringing you a post-game show on Petty Ring Night, which is very exciting.
You were going to be there anyway, right?
I was absolutely. Who are you talking to? Of course, I want my Petty ring. I want my Petty plastic ring. I can't wait for it. But of course, I also can't wait to watch the Diamondbacks, who are very hot right now, take on the Phillies. This couldn't be more exciting as far as a time to play the Phillies, with them struggling the way they are and the Diamondbacks putting things together and having especially their starting rotation nearly back to 100%. I think that's the most exciting prospect. Not only does it, improve their starting rotation, which goes unsaid, but you also have the fact that the additions to the bullpen definitely change the bullpen, which has to figure things out before we get to the end of the season. I mean, that's a big part of at least the time they have. They have a little bit less than 2 months to figure out how this bullpen is going to come together, who they're going to rely on, what those roles are going to be. And most likely that is going to be something that Torrey still does once we get close to the end of the season and in the playoffs. Like, he's going to have his guys. He's going to have his setup man. He's going to have his closer. He's probably not going to keep this versatility that he's currently, kind of going with in the 9th inning. But hopefully that adds some stability.
Yeah, I mean, if the Diamondbacks did make a mistake at the trade deadline, which I'm not saying they did, I think it's way too early to be saying anything like that. But if they did, it's probably that they didn't add a true closer to this roster, right?
Yeah.
Paul Sewald wasn't removed from the role officially until after the trade deadline. But even as of the deadline, there were some signs that Sewald was slipping, right? Obviously, his July was pretty rough. And so, that's a decision that could backfire on the Diamondbacks, frankly. Like, what would it look like if the team had also gotten Tanner Scott in addition to AJ Puck or something like that? Of course, you're spending a heck of a lot to do that. But if looking ahead to the postseason, as it looks increasingly likely that the D-backs will be there, you have to ask the question, like, who's pitching the 9th inning for you in the playoffs with the game on the line, the biggest moments that you have all season? Whose hands are you putting the ball in? And that is not an easy question for the Diamondbacks to answer right now, frankly. There's a variety of options. It's not to say the options are terrible. A lot of these guys have had good seasons, but there's something to be said for just knowing who that guy is and feeling confident, knowing you have one of the best in the league in that role. Paul Sewald wasn't always pretty last year, but he was really one of the best down the stretch in terms of his save conversion rate, just turning games into wins, even if it wasn't always the prettiest thing. That'll be an interesting narrative here as we get into these final couple months.
Corbin Barrels back in the chat actually has the one idea that would be better than Petty Ring Night. He said, I was hoping for Alec Thomas planting the flag bobblehead.
That would be such a great bobblehead.
That would be.
And I'm not a bobblehead guy.
I'm a huge bobblehead guy. That would be such an enormously
That'd be
awesome.
a very petty bobblehead. Like give out the Alec Thomas planting the flag.
What's pettier, that or the ring?
They're both pretty petty. I mean,
I love them
you're doing it with the Phillies in
so
town. I mean, I
much.
guess that's what makes it really petty. But that would be, I'm sure people would love that. Yes.
Super chat there, Jacob. What do we got from our guy Kevin Conqueso? Kevin says, "Sweep, let's throw some shade." We will throw some. I should throw some shade at Jesse. I don't know why, but we have no shade to throw today because we are nothing but happy after the 18 innings of baseball we watched. I do.
You probably could throw some shade at me for how much I doubted you when you predicted that Erod would go 5 2/3.
You know what? The amount of anger that you experience just based on the fact that prediction hit is enough for me to feel just great about that. But Jacob, let's take a look at the probable pitchers for this series. We still don't know how things are going to shake up for the Diamondbacks, but yes, folks, yes, your eyes do not deceive you on what you are seeing on this probable pitcher list. We don't know for sure. We have no confirmation, but there's a good chance that we might see Merrill the mainstay there in Game 4 against the Philadelphia Phillies.
I mean, it seems a little bold to me, Derek. Like, Merrill Kelly, high A pitcher. He's a little older. He's in his mid 30s. I liked what I saw from him yesterday. Prospect with some potential. Making when we were setting up to make this graphic, I had completely forgotten that Merrill Kelly had actually pitched for the Diamondbacks this season. And we were about to put like 0-0 with a 0.00 ERA.
It's easy to forget.
I was like, wait a second. Merrill Kelly actually
well.
He did. He made 4 starts in April and March, I guess, and was actually quite good. He had a 2.19 ERA. All of the pitchers we just showed are now official, with the exception of Merrill Kelly starting on Sunday. So just so everyone's clear, we are the ones who are guessing as of right now. It is just sort of an educated guess that Merrill Kelly will pitch on Sunday. He does line up. As I said, he started yesterday in Hillsboro. We'll talk about that more in a second. He does line up to make the start on Sunday. And because of the doubleheader situation, the Diamondbacks need someone to start on Sunday. None of the current 5 guys that they have could make that start. Yilbert Diaz, I don't think they could bring him back because Sunday marks 14 days since they sent him down, not the requisite 15. So they need something on Sunday. And as of right now, our best guess is that it's just going to be Merrill Kelly going straight from high A, that rehab outing that he had yesterday, back to the big league, starting in what will be a pretty big series finale against the Philadelphia Phillies.
So just an update on this. John Gamadoro at Arizona Sports says that they are leaving it up to Merrill to assess how he feels today.
Okay.
After that start yesterday.
Well, and they left it up to Erod for his decision in regards to whether he would go have one of those rehab starts or he would get his first start as a member of the starting rotation like he got. And that worked out fairly well. I mean, Erod was that's one thing that we didn't even talk about today. Even though he left after 5 2/3 innings pitched, and I was fist pumping when Torrey got up and went to take him out just because it made me absolutely correct on my prediction. But he was only at 65 pitches. And I mean, again, that just showed that he probably had something left in the tank. Like the Diamondbacks probably could have left him in there for a few more innings, or at least one more inning, or who knows how that would have gone. But you don't want to, go too hard on that first outing, and you want to build on, the good day he had confidence wise. But again, we got Jordan Montgomery going in Game 1 of this series against Colby Allard, which is looking to be like a bullpen game for the Phillies, right?
Yeah.
And then things get significantly more difficult after that. They have Zach Wheeler taking on Ryan Nelson, Aaron Nola taking on Zach Gallen, and Christopher Sanchez taking on TBD, which we are hoping and praying will be Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, if it's not Merrill Kelly, I don't really have a great answer of who that would be. Christian Mena, as we reported recently, is out for the season. Unfortunately, Christian Mena will not be an option for the D-backs the rest of the year. Slade, yes, I guess, but I really think the D-backs want to avoid using him as a starter
because it's going to be a bullpen game if he does start.
He could be like the bulk guy in a bullpen game. you probably don't want him going 4 or 5 innings. Maybe you can keep him to 2 or 3. That could be an option if they're able to get through Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and still feel like the bullpen is in a good enough spot to do that on Sunday. But it's tough because then you've got, it's the Rockies. It's on a great team that you're playing on the backside of that series.
Right.
But it is still, you're playing 3 more games immediately without an off day. So to have a bullpen game right in the middle there might be a bit of a challenge. So yeah, we'll see. It would be not exactly a soft landing for Merrill Kelly if he comes back to the majors and it's Schwarber and Turner and Bryce Harper and Alec Boehm, looking back at him from the batter's box. But that might be what happens here. We'll see what happens in the next few days.
Merrill strikes me as the type of guy that's he's just gonna go out there, like he wants this.
I'm sure he does. It's just a matter of, I guess, how he feels. And on that note, we do have some footage from our friends over at the Hillsboro Hops because Merrill Kelly pitched yesterday. Derek, Merrill Kelly pitched. For those of you who are missing baseball,
look at this prospect. What a guy! I think he can make it in the bigs.
I think he has a shot. Yeah, it wasn't great. His final line: 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. He did give up a homer, no walks, 2 strikeouts. You can see one of his strikeouts there. It was, from a numbers standpoint, not particularly sharp, but
Sure.
Watching this game, it looked to me like a spring training outing. You could see Merrill not really sequencing his pitches the way that he probably normally would. I didn't see that many changeups, at least from the portion that I was able to watch. Obviously, that's Merrill's best pitch, and it's a pitch that he didn't use much in spring training because he was like, it's always going to be there for me. I don't really need to work on that all that much. And there were other things like, he misses a first pitch curveball. He's not able to get it in the zone. And at one point I saw him shake like 3 times, and because he wanted to throw the curveball again and give it another shot. So he wasn't approaching this outing clearly from like a results. I'm trying to dominate Hillsboro. I'm trying to dominate high A hitters as best I can. He was approaching this as like, I just want to get my pitches right and I want to work on what I want to work on and get the work in that I need to. And he did do that. He threw 62 pitches in this game. 38 of them were strikes. He did pitch into the 5th inning. He faced the first batter in the 5th. So yeah, I guess there were, 4 up downs there for him. So from a workload standpoint, he would be fine theoretically to come in and pitch on Sunday. It's just a matter of, how does he feel about it? Does he feel like he wants to fine tune things a little more, make one more rehab start potentially, and then come back after that?